Hello out there, this is Wakeangel2K1 coming at you with a review of Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Trilogy Chromia. Yes, this is only the second time Chromia has ever gotten a toy. The first time being in the Thrilling 30 toy line where she was an RC remold, and now she's no longer an RC remold. Now she's a Moon Racer remold. Although this does have significantly more changes to the mold than Nova Star had, so there's that much at least. But first, let's take a quick look at her box. These Sieges, they come in boxes rather than blister cards, even though this is only a deluxe figure. We have some really nice artwork on the side. Like, that's a really awesome picture of Chromia there. And, like my sonic screwdriver will reveal, there are hidden messages that can only be revealed under blacklight. Well, let me turn off my studio light here. There we go. Yeah. War for Cybertron S20. The nice nifty little light effect on the arc there. And symbols hidden in the fire. Up, there we go. Yeah. Messages written in Cybertronian. And Transformers hidden right here over where it says Deluxe Class. So yeah, some cool little effects on the packaging. Nice to see that they went through the effort. The back of the box reveals Chromia in both her robot and vehicle mode, and some other cool stuff you can get in the series, including Transformers that turn into weapons and upgrade packs and stuff. It's all good. Is there anything on this part which shows there's no real hidden messages on this side that I can see. But yeah, that's still really nice artwork, and I like how Chromia is prominently featured right up there. So yeah, very nice packaging. Now let's get the toy out and see if it's any good. And so here is Chromia. First, let's get the funny thing out of the way. This thing, the crotch plate, it comes right off. I have no idea why Hasbro decided that Chromia would have a removable pair of panties, but they do seem to be removable by design, because there's really no kind of peg or pin or any sort of molding that seems to want to keep this in place. It's just this weak little peg right there. I wouldn't even call that a proper peg. It's more like a nub, and like the crotch plate just sort of clips onto it. So yeah, she literally just has like a pair of clip-on panties. I have no idea why. Alright, so this is Chromia, based off of the Moon Racer mold, of course. So although this is accurate to say that it has Moon Racer's engineering, but most of the mold seems to have been retooled. If not for functional reasons, then definitely cosmetic ones. So let's get a closer look at Chromia's new molding. First, of course, is her new head, which is very beautiful. Very Chromia. Very lady wearing a nurse cap kind of thing going on there. So nothing wrong with that. And like I said, although the tooling is mostly the same engineering-wise, almost every bit of her is brand new, with a lot more technological, functional-looking greeble stuff, because this is the Siege line, so we need less smooth surfaces and more functional-looking circuitry and panels and stuff. I'm not sure why that's a thing all of a sudden. And the posability and articulation is pretty similar. She has a very expressive range in her head. Well, it can tilt way back. Like, look at me, I'm Superman. She can look side to side. The collar doesn't really impede her head movements at all. Below that, her shoulders are pin discs. Yes, the ball-jointed shoulders have been totally replaced with pin discs. She still has a bicep swivel, and another pin has been added to the elbow. There's a slight ratchet joint here, but this is a transformation peg, not really a wrist joint. She has a waist joint, although you can't really turn the waist joint. Like, yeah, like Like, you have to unpeg her backpack in order to reclaim her waist joint. Yeah, that's not a thing. Hold on a second. If I took that out... look at that. Her panties were blocking her waist joint. So if you want to get a little bit more risque, you can actually get more articulation out of her. That's so weird. Like, it doesn't look like it would impede the articulation, but it does. Wow. She has... The hips are still ball jointed. Oh my god, what is that? Was there some arc in the comic book where Chromia was working in an Iacon strip club or something, and that was the money shot, just flinging her crotch plate off at whoever tipped her the most? But was that what she did? Is that why they did that? Like, that is literally just the size of her thighs just pushed her panties off. Wow. Then there's thigh swivels below that, and her knees actually, like, you can get a full 90, but you have to mess with this pod. Oh wow, that is going to be a problem this entire recording, isn't it? Oh god. Wow. Hey, like, that is a full 90, but then this piece moves. It didn't move on the previous mold. Although it does, like, it gets in the way, so you have to move it to get her leg to move. Because if it didn't move, it would stop her leg from moving. That's kind of pretty bad kibble. But her feet are really cool. Like, she has a full-on hinge that has a wide range going this way. And she has a full-on dedicated pin to give her inward ankle articulation, and that's a very strong pin there. Like, it's a joint with lots of good friction. So, you know, flat-footed stance. That's all good. She does have kind of a ginormous backpack, like even bigger than the Moonracer version of the mold had. You know, like, this mold has been modified so that it no longer has the combiner peg. So you'd think, without having to make the allowance for the combiner peg, they could actually use that space to make her backpack smaller and more sightly. But instead, it's just this gigantic hollow space back there. Look, I can literally get my pinky all the way in. That's a lot. So, yeah, like, she's not exactly an improvement. In fact, I'd say she's objectively worse. Let's bring in Nova Star for a nice comparison. First of all, aside from the fact that, like, they are literally side by side, Chromia is indeed significantly shorter. Like, they were able to remove the combiner peg at the expense of about a ½ inch of height. Like, yeah, that's a significant downsize. And I just kind of did this thing so I could incorporate the hand into the backpack, but I can easily remove that. And, like, I mean, I guess in some dimensions the backpack isn't really that much of a big deal. In some ways I did find ways to compress it a little bit more, but, you know, like you could still see the gaping hollow space where a combiner peg wants to be. And besides, like I said, if you don't like the larger backpack, you can always fold this down and pretend that it's a skirt. So that shrinks the backpack. You know, I'm just saying. And like I said, like, a ball joint got replaced with a pin disc, although it looks like the ball joint actually has more range. Plus, this version of the mold has a full-on double-jointed knee, so it can get a much bigger bend. And although this piece doesn't move, it doesn't get in the way either. I mean, her feet, okay, her feet aren't as good. Like, there isn't so much range in her feet. Like, they only do this much, and then they don't really get any ankle rock. But, like, you improved the feet, but made every other aspect of the leg worse. First of all, like this one can do this, without actually having to worry about kicking off her own crotch plate. But this one, like, there's limitations, and like, I don't even have to try. Like, the crotch plate just falls off. That's not good. So yeah, aside from improved feet, the entire leg is objectively worse. The shoulders have less range than the ball-jointed shoulders did. The figure is physically smaller, and her backpack is just a big hollow thing back there. And you can see clear into the figure now. Like, you can literally... I'm sticking my finger in, it's behind her belly button. Like, she is just a big, hollow, empty shell now, instead of, like, this one had some compromises to the design, but, you know, at least those compromises allowed her to become a combiner limb. Now that feature's been removed, and the figure is, like, objectively just not as good for it. Yeah, it's kind of a shame, isn't it? Chromia does come with some accessories. Here is her gun. In the package, this sniper scope is attached this ways to make it into a bigger gun. And she also has these two thingies, which I'm assuming they're supposed to be like grenades or something. But the instructions say that you can daisy chain them onto her blaster. And then again, and then one more time, to make a super long barreled gun, which kind of, okay, anybody out there remember Outlaw Star? This kind of reminds me of Gene Starwin's caster. Like, you know, because the caster was a gun that shot magic. So, yeah, it's kind of cool that Chromia has a caster now. Although that's kind of ridiculous. Like, that actually looks a lot more like Gene Starwin's caster right there. Just the one thingy. The instructions also say that when not connected to her gun, you can take these two things and attach them back here for storage. They go right into those two peg holes on her backpack, just like that. And I guess in that manner, they kind of look like she has grenades attached. You know, something like that. You know, I mean, if you're going to have a backpack that huge, you may as well use it for storage. And can I put this in here? I don't know, it's like a square peg. Nah, it doesn't fit in there. This thing, she doesn't really... I don't really see an attachment spot for this thing. Nope. Yeah, so you can either attach it up on top of her gun to be a sniper scope, or you can put it there so that it looks more like a silencer. I don't know why you need a silencer in a war, but yeah, I guess, like, in infiltration, like, if she's an infiltration specialist, she might put a silencer on her gun so that she can shoot things and not give away her position. I can see the logic in that. But yeah, that's it. That's all we wrote. Alright, so there's only one more thing that I want to compare Robot Mode Chromia to, and that is, of course, her Thrilling 30 counterpart, which was an RC mold, which she manages to be slightly shorter than. Okay, so as we all know, Thrilling 30 Chromia has a better look for the IDW comic version. And the new Chromia is a very light, she's a slightly lighter shade of sky blue, which I guess is supposed to be more G1 accurate. And I guess since she's not a remold of a Transformers Prime figure, she does have the G1 look going for her a little bit more. And, like, can I get their faces closer together? Come on, touch boobs. The Thrilling 30 Chromia face is a little bit sharper. It's a little different. Like, it's not like they just took this one's head and put it on this body. You know, I guess this one it still had a little bit of memory of the Transformers Prime look in there, even though she has a nose, but you know, like, your mileage may vary. Some may like this one better because it's technically more like how she looked in the original cartoon. But if you really wanted to ask me which of these Chromia figures I liked better, like in terms of the look, the posability, and later on I'll show other points of comparison, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to go with the Thrilling 30. Like, this figure came out only a couple years ago, so it's still relatively fresh, and it's based off of a really good mold. So, you know, like, I don't really have too many complaints with the Thrilling 31, aside from the fact that her skirt, you have to kind of push it back a little bit further to get full use of her legs, but that's really it. Like, that was one issue. I mean, again, she's not kicking off her crotch plate every time she tries to move her leg forward. I mean, you're not really going to be much of a spy specialist if every time you have to worry about running, you accidentally kick off your own panties. So yeah, I'm not gonna let that go. I am not gonna let that go. Like the way her panties just fly off. That's so weird. Okay, so let's get to vehicle mode. Chromia's vehicle mode is incredibly accurate to her G1 cartoon appearance, and this is likely where all the major modifications for the toy went into. Aside from the fact that the hands are still visible from behind like this, her weapons are actually like these two things peg into the exhaust. Her gun goes on top to make that funny little antenna gun thing that she had on top. There's ports here for all kinds of siege thingies, like there's here in the front, here in the back, the peg, like the guns can be pegs, the guns are in pegs, these are pegs and can be pegs, see, are pegs attached to pegs. So yeah, there's a lot of things, although like it's kind of fiddly, the transformation, and there are parts of it that don't go together. Like these parts, like they should be flush up against the sides, but they don't want to stay like that. They make gaps. And when I try to push them in, then they push these out. It's like this figure wasn't really machined right. It has tolerance issues. Like, see? Like all over, there's parts of it that don't want to hold together. So let's bring in Moon Racer so that we can compare. And as you can see, like a new chest plate that doesn't quite stick out so much. Although, if it wasn't for the weapon hiding it, yeah, that's totally Chromia's midriff right there. Like, I don't know, like who's doing a better job of hiding their robot midriff, huh? So yeah, you still have that issue. At least like the cockpit window is in a more believable place, and the hollow space actually makes it look like there's a chair in there at the very least. I mean, here, like, where's the cockpit? Is it here? Is it here? Is it up here? How big is this car? I don't know. But yeah, like, she's still, well, I'm kind of zoomed in a bit too much. Like, this thing, which is a combiner, which is to accept the hand or the foot for arm or leg mode, is now just a hollow space. And as you can see, they still have the whole, I'm a really long, skinny car-like object, instead of, you know, any kind of actual existing vehicle. But then again, these are Cybertronian vehicle modes, and I guess the fact that Chromia never had any kind of earthly vehicle mode to be beholden to is kind of Hasbro's excuse to just go a little bit abstract with the vehicle mode now. But yeah, like I said, I'm not really loving this too much. I wasn't that married to Chromia's G1 look to actually warrant the compromises that this figure has for the purpose of looking like this. And besides, the Thrilling 30 vehicle mode is one of my all-time favorite Transformers vehicle modes. I mean, call me a Tron fanboy, but this thing is freaking awesome. Whatever compromises this figure has in its robot mode are totally worth it for this awesome vehicle that she turns into. Meanwhile, this one has a ton of compromises for its robot mode, and even its transformation doesn't work quite as well as the original version of the mold did. And the vehicle mode, okay, I'll grant the G1 accuracy, but was it worth it? So my final verdict, this is probably the way one figure that you can skip. Like if you already have a Thrilling 30 Chromia, then there's really no point in getting this, because the Thrilling 30 Chromia looks better, and the version of the mold that this is based on was better back when it was a combiner limb. In fact, Hasbro will be releasing in the next wave Lancer. No, I'm sorry, Greenlight, which is actually going to be just another unmodified version of the original mold, combiner peg and hand and all. And aside from the fact that she's going to have a new head and a different paint job, it's going to be this mold, which, despite its flaws, is still a pretty darn good toy. This is just a miserable little pile of compromises, which I'm very sad to say. So they took a figure that was actually pretty darn good the way it was, with some flaws, and they actually made some of the flaws worse, all for the sake of removing a gimmick that made those flaws worth it in the first place. So, sorry Hasbro, you tried, but maybe that just because you tried doesn't mean you should have.